Here are the cast and the characters they play. Hussawi. Pakrapong Pisan. Camp. As Amphan Natham. He is a goofy drug dealer cum thief who steals drugs from dealers and sells them to other dealers. He steals when drugs are exchanged during delivery. He befriends the girlfriend of a drug mafia, Comet, and uses her to infiltrate this gang in order to obtain information about the gang's drug deliveries. There is a new drug, Blue Hawaii, in the market. He has his partner, Donna, infiltrate another gang that is the drug's buyer in order to learn the identity of its supplier. He meets Salis, a skillful ex-cop, while visiting a patient named Maya, a woman he had saved from being raped earlier, in a psychiatric hospital. Alice turns out to be Comet's lawyer's assistant. He grows closer to Alice after she helps him escape from a drug dealer, during one of his stealing missions, and rescues Maya, who tries to run away from hospital. Despite their constant squabbles and teasing, he and Alice begin to develop feelings for each other. He reluctantly joins his team to steal a valuable diamond from an auction. He hides the diamond after stealing it, and dupes his teammates that it has been stolen by Comet, who is also after it. However, his teammates are not convinced with his claim and decide to turn against him. With the assistance of another drug dealer, Coben, he also successfully steals a shipment of Blue Hawaii while the drugs are being traded between two other gangs. When he learns that Alice is attempting to save her relative, Comet's lawyer, Jiradek, who a Hong Kong mafia had kidnapped, he offers her assistance. He is willing to give up his share of Blue Hawaii in exchange for Jiradek's release. His involvement in several robberies resulted in a police arrest warrant being issued against him. He is eventually apprehended by the police but manages to flee with the help of a police officer and Alice. Nuchabun Prong. Cartoon. As Alice Kunanu Kankul. She is a former police lieutenant and a friend of police captain, Ramran. Jiradek, her relative and Comet's lawyer, asks her to be his assistant. She takes on Comet's case after Jiradek goes missing, fearing for his safety. She meets Amphan by chance in a misunderstood situation, and their following chance encounters always end up in squabbles. As Amphan works for Comet too, she runs into him again, and soon finds herself working alongside Amphan, on their respective missions. A murder case involving Comet she is handling is expected to favor him due to a lack of evidence. Achu, a foe of Comet, manages to kidnap Jiradek and uses him to threaten her. Achu wants her to ensure that Comet loses his upcoming court hearing. Meanwhile, she visits her father in a psychiatric hospital regularly. During one of her visits, she runs into a patient named Maya, whom she suspects is involved in her client's murder case. She runs into Maya again after she flees the hospital. As Maya is believed to be a key witness in her client's case, she fears for her safety and brings her along to stay with her. At the same time, her father has also gone missing from the hospital. Maya tells her that she witnessed some men have taken away her father. She finds her father lying by the roadside while searching for him with Amphan and brings him home. Unbeknownst to her, the man she brings back is not her father but someone who has taken on his identity. She begins to develop feelings for Amphan and vice versa, but they are hesitant to admit it due to their ego. When Amphan is apprehended by police, she helps him flee and joins him as a fugitive. She eventually learns that the man living in her house isn't her father, and begins to find out what happened to her biological father. Jiradek, her relative, reappears and reveals his true identity to her. She is shocked to discover that he is not who she thought he was all along. Chanapal Satya. Off. As Captain Ramran Fanchat. He is a diligent and honest police captain from the Special Operation Unit who is highly regarded and trusted by people in his unit, including his superior, Lieutenant Colonel Siwakorn. His attempts to apprehend drug mafias, red-handed, often fail because the police plans are leaked to them ahead of time. His superior orders him to find the mole who leaks police information to the drug dealers. He suspects one of his colleagues, Lieutenant Mann, as the informant for a mafia leader, Comet. He assists his friend, Alice, in her search for her missing father, and for information about Comet's murder case. He is perplexed when he discovers Alice is constantly seen with Amphan, and assisting him. He warns her to avoid Amphan, whom he describes as a dangerous man. At the same time, he begins to suspect his boss, Lieutenant Colonel Siwakorn, of passing police information to the mafia, and instructs fellow team member, Lieutenant Muthita, to tap his boss's phone. He holds a grudge against Amphan, because he has repeatedly failed to apprehend him, either due to a lack of evidence, or because the quick-witted and skilled Amphan, manages to evade arrest. When he discovers that Comet was the one who murdered his parents, he becomes even more determined to arrest him. Yanissadira Torn. Gum. As Mudita Sarati. Police Lieutenant, Forensic Expert. She is a new member of the Special Operation Unit. She works with Captain Ramran to identify the mole in their department. She begins to develop feelings for Captain Ramran as she works closely with him, but the serious Captain Ramran shows little sign of liking her. Simultaneously, she uses her forensic expertise to assist her teammate, Sergeant Chu, in investigating the death of his friend's father. Her fondness for Captain Ramran fades after he disregards her safety in his attempt to arrest Amphan. She begins to doubt Captain Ramran's loyalty to the police force after a series of suspicious incidents. She realizes that the only person she can trust in her unit is Sergeant Chu. She continues to collaborate with him to uncover the truth about the death of his friend, Nan's father, as well as their own superiors. Jirayu. Ong Venik. Film. As Siwakorn. Reitsaman. Police Lieutenant Colonel. He is the head of the Police Special Operation Unit. He places numerous spies with drug lords, Sandi and Comet, who provide him with crucial information on their drug businesses. He is also aware that those drug lords have informants in his unit too, and orders Captain Ramran to uncover the persons. However, unbeknownst to him, some undercover police officers he places with the mafias have switched sides and are now working against the police. After a mole from his unit is exposed, he learns that information from his side is still being leaked. He becomes extra wary of his own subordinates. His discreet behavior aroused the suspicions of Captain Ramran, who believes he is the informant for one of the drug lords. At the same time, he becomes suspicious of Captain Ramran and Lieutenant Mudita, after one detainee, a member of one of the drug mafias, who is under their custody, is poisoned in the police station. Paisan Ko No. As Thong Tu Thong Bairat. Sergeant Chu. He is a friend of Nan, the fiancé of Sarasi, right-hand man for a drug lord. When a valuable diamond is stolen from an auction, hosted by her, he promises to assist her in its recovery. Nan seeks his assistance again after her father, Dr. Padungzak, goes missing and is later found dead in a car accident. He investigates the true cause of her father's death, with the assistance of his colleague, Lieutenant Mudita. His investigations reveal that Nan is not her father's biological daughter. He is fond of Nan but refrains from telling her because of their social status disparity. He does, however, continues to assist her in her search for her biological parents. Meanwhile, a gift to Nan, from an unknown source, leads him to believe that Santi, the mafia, is still alive. Nan's life is at risk when the identity of her biological father is leaked to a mafia. His boss, Chief Siwakorn, orders him and Lieutenant Mudita to protect her in order to ensure her safety. Surat Maykun. Noon. As Comet Kwang Jaran Faisal. A drug lord. He has police informants, who not only help him avoid arrest for his drug activities, but also help him remove evidence for a murder case of his. However, he is unaware that the police have undercovers on his side too. He also has an adopted son, whom little is known about him as he is very discreet about him. He and fellow drug lord Sandi are bitter rivals. When he discovers that Sandi is attempting to market a new drug called Blue Hawaii, he intends to seize the drugs from him. His girlfriend, Panan, introduces him to Amphan, who impresses him with his abilities and gains his trust. He agrees to work alongside him. However, his partnership with Amphan is short-lived, and he turns from being his ally to foe after Amphan betrays him. He has a murder trial coming up, which his lawyer, Jiradek, is confident he will win because the police have insufficient evidence against him. As the trial date approaches, his lawyer goes missing, and Alice, Jiradek's relative, takes over his case. He is unaware that Alice is working against him because Achu, his adversary, has forced her to ensure he loses his case and goes to prison. When his arch-rival, Santi, is reported to have died, he believes he now has complete control of the drug trade. He is surprised, however, to learn that Santi's subordinate, Sarasi, who takes over, not only manages to keep his business running, but also expands it into his territories. Contrary to his expectations, things begin to fall apart for him. He fails to obtain the coveted drug, Blue Hawaii, and the precious diamond he steals from Amphan turns out to be a fake one. He also loses his police informant, Lieutenant Man, after Lieutenant Man's identity is exposed. At this point, his adopted son, a police officer, returns to assist him. His son successfully persuades followers of his arch-rival, Sandy, to join his side. With his arch-rival's men already on his side, he believes he will be in control of the drug market. However, he is unaware that his adopted son has discovered that he killed his parents before adopting him, and vows to seek revenge by turning against him. Su Wangbong. Prepped Padil. As Alan, Comet's right-hand man. He is Comet's loyal and trusted right-hand man. Even though his boss has agreed to work with Amphan, he is still wary of him. His doubts about Amphan are confirmed when Amphan betrays his boss after stealing a valuable diamond. He is always at the forefront of Comet's fight against various gangs as well as the police. Kamoran Rattanen. As Nina, an undercover cop who poses as Comet's loyal assistant. Champunud. Fung Fawn. Somo. As Panan, a model, girlfriend of Comet. She is the girlfriend of Comet, a drug lord. Amphan befriends and seduces her because he wants to use her to connect him with Comet. Although she remains by Comet's side, she has no loyalty to him. She has casual fling with Amphan, and assists him in his mission. She believes the disappearance of her sister, Maya, is related to Comet. She chooses to stay by his side, in the hopes of learning more about her missing sister. She eventually runs into her sister, Maya, who is a key witness to Comet murder case, when Maya is about to be sold and handed over to Comet by Sergeant Man. However, Alice and Amphan interrupt the transaction. She takes advantage of the situation and flees with her sister. They want to start their lives anew elsewhere, now that her sister, Maya, has regained her memory, but things do not go as planned when she returns to her apartment to retrieve her belongings. Oranucha. Sansuwan. As Maya, sister of Panan, witness of Comet's case. She witnessed Comet killed her late boyfriend who was Comet's business partner. Comet sent his men, which included Sergeant Man, to abduct her. Amphan, who happened to be passing by, rescued her from being raped by those men. She has since developed police paranoia and has become mentally unstable. Amphan pays her regular visits at the psychiatric hospital. However, in her unstable state, she flees the hospital and is luckily saved by Alice. Alice, who is aware that she is a key witness in Comet's case, allows her to stay with her to ensure her safety. After learning her identity and location, Sergeant Man kidnaps her again. He tried to sell her to Comet, but she is saved by Comet's girlfriend, who is also her sister. She gradually regains her memory and assists Amphan and Alice in their search for evidence to convict Comet of her boyfriend's murder. Ekapun. Bunlurid. Tide. As Sandi Wayangutai, a drug lord. He is Comet's arch-rival, who is planning to step back from the spotlight, but still runs his drug business. His doctor friend finds him a patient, Anon, who resembles him. Anon happens to be mentally ill father of Alice. In order to switch identities with Anon, he undergoes some minor cosmetic surgery to look like him. Following his surgery, he instructs Sarasi, his loyal right-hand man, to eliminate his doctor friend and have Anon, who suffers from memory loss, impersonate him. He gets Anon killed, in order to dupe his rivals and the police into believing he has died. Meanwhile, he assumes the identity of Anon, Alice's father, and ends up staying at her home. There, he pretends to have lost his memory, in order to fool Alice and everyone into thinking he is her father. When one of the rival gangs, as well as Sergeant Chu, begin to doubt his identity, he decides to stop pretending to be Anon and reveals himself once more. Firahwas. Kunlun Unthwent. As Sarasi Chu Nkayao, Sandi's right-hand man. He is Sandi's loyal right-hand man. He successfully introduces a new drug, Blue Hawaii, to clubbers. Amphan and other drug dealers are drawn to this drug, because of its popularity and high prices. After his boss's surgery, he plots the murder of his fiancée's father, Dr. Padongzak, who planned the identity switch of his boss, in order to silence him. He constantly discourages his fiancée, Nan, from looking into her father's death, claiming that he died in an accident. After his boss, Santi's fake death, he replaces him to run the business, but in reality he still receives commands from his boss in discreet. Contrary to the beliefs of rival gangs, he is able to not only sustain but also expand his business into their territories. Meanwhile, he attempts to kill Sergeant Thing, in order to stop him from assisting his fiancée, to investigate the death of her father, Dr. Padongzak, whom he murdered. Sarachat Samboon as Nan Wanda. Darapathana Wong, nun, fiancée of Saraisi, daughter of Dr. Padongzak. She is Saraisi's fiancée, but stays out of his illegal business. Saraisi's boss, Santi, is a good friend of her father, Dr. Padongzak. A valuable diamond is stolen from an auction she is hosting. She hopes Saraisi will assist her in recovering it, but his response is lackluster. When her father is killed in a car accident, her friend Sergeant Yu informs her that the crash was not an accident, but rather a planned murder. He promises to find the truth behind her father's death. Pia Wat. Juta Wongzak as Dr. Padongzak, a neurosurgeon, father of Nan. He and Santi have known each other for a long time. His daughter, Nan, is engaged to Saraisi, Santi's right-hand man. He is also the brain surgeon for Alice's father, Anand. He notices that Anand bears a striking resemblance to Santi, and suggests him to switch identities with Anand, who suffers memory loss and is unable to recall his past. This will allow Santi to stay out of the spotlight and avoid arrest by the police, while still actively involved in his illegal activities. Thanayong Wantrahul as Sergeant Suman Sujai, Sergeant Man. He works as a police informant for Comet. He informs Comet about police raids, allowing him to avoid arrest. On Comet's orders, he kidnapped Maya, a key witness in Comet's murder case, and murdered the parents of Comet's adopted son. When Captain Ramran discovers his true identity, Comet regards him as no longer useful and severs ties with him. He has held a grudge against his former boss, Comet, ever since. He then teams up with an ex-police sergeant to rob other drug dealers. Fatah Nazak Fongfen as Sergeant Manunjit Jajing, police undercover who turns against the police. Sakon Munkalket as Sergeant Lerm, police undercover assigned to Santi's side. Fifat Von Mcklin as Samro Eng, ex-police sergeant turned drug dealer. Shenron Gamdi as Tana, Amphan's partner. In order to obtain information on the supplier of the drug, Blue Hawaii, he makes his way to become one of Santi's followers. Aside from drugs, he also proposes to Amphan and others in his team to steal a precious diamond from an auction, hosted by Saraisi's fiancée. Although successfully stealing the diamond, he and other members of his group begins to distrust Amphan. They believe Amphan hides the diamond for himself but claims it has been snatched by Saraisi's men. From being members of the same alliance, he and Amphan become foe. Feeling betrayed by Amphan, he with two other fellow partners vow to look for the diamond and take it back from Amphan. He brings his two partners to become Santi's followers. Wacharachai Sundarasiri as Sen, a member of Amphan's team who later switches to Santi's side after being betrayed by Amphan. Chatmunkal Boompen as Kong, partner of Amphan. Preetsudi Chanasaru as Achu, a drug supplier from Hong Kong. He is a Hong Kong drug dealer who introduces Santi to a new drug called Blue Hawaii. He gives Comet a small number of samples to test in the market. The drug is proven to be a hit with Clovers. Due to its popularity and high prices, it attracts the interest of other drug dealers. Meanwhile, he harbors ill will towards Comet and wishes to see him imprisoned. He kidnaps Jiradek, his lawyer, and forces Alice, Jiradek's assistant, to ensure Comet loses his case. The delivery of his first shipment of Blue Hawaii to Santi fails after the drugs are stolen by Amphan's people. As he attempts to recover the drugs, police raid the place, and while everyone is fleeing, another mafia leader, Kobe, who joins forces with Amphan, blows up the drugs. Kobe does not want anyone else to have access to the drugs except him. After seeing his drugs vanish in the air, he vows revenge on the person who blew them up. Opahum Ratchataram Font as Nikki, Achu's man. He is the assistant of a drug lord from Hong Kong, Achu. His boss supports Santi because he provides Santi with the popular new drug Blue Hawaii. To get rid of Santi's rival, Comet, he kidnaps Jiradek, the relative of Alice who is Comet's lawyer. He threatens Alice to make Comet loses his court case and send him to prison. Wirayut Nansha as Kobe, a drug dealer. He is the leader of a drug dealer gang who happens to know Amphan. He is interested in Blue Hawaii as well and joins forces with Amphan to steal the drug from its supplier, Achu. He manages to steal the drug and agrees to split equally with Amphan. In the midst of the drug's delivery to a new buyer, the police raid the place. In addition to that, Achu is also there to recover his drugs. With no chance to retrieve the drugs, he blows them up, so that no one can have them too. Chakran Kritsiri as Luong, follower of Kobe. Akarat Chuasiri Suksahul Win as Kun, cheerful follower of Kobe. Kobchok Clash Amrit as Tang, follower of Kobe. Itakorn Satutam Jub as Jiradek Jomthong, Comet's lawyer. He is Comet's defense lawyer in a murder case involving a friend of his. While acting as Comet's lawyer, he is actually gathering evidence to incriminate his client in order to ensure that he loses his case. He plans his own kidnapping and asks his relative, Alice, who is unaware of his plan, to take over Comet's case while he continues to gather evidence against his client. He turns out to be a powerful man with his own agenda, which even his own relative, Alice, is unaware of. Arisa Will, Lupton as Madame Esley, customer of Comet and an underworld businesswoman. Namdeep Samthong as Saipin, ill-fated aunt of Alice. Yot Sawat Tawapi Euro as Lieutenant Saran, boyfriend of Nina. Pete Thongchua as Oman, supplier of counterfeit money. Lily Achu's girlfriend. Viva Amphan's ex-girlfriend. credit to Thai Channel 7. Thank you for watching.